Hello and welcome to Watching the W's. I am your host, Doug. I am with, as always, my ride or die, Danny. And as soon as I can figure out how to remove this, there we go. Hey, there we are. We are on a new platform and I am still working out the bugs.
Oh, we did the payoff pitch on the Golden Ticket Show yesterday just because I forgot to switch it.
Yeah, growing pains and learning curves for everybody, but that is okay. That's the fun part here. Alrighty, so we are back. We are looking to take a quick preview of the upcoming WNBA season. But Danny, it's been a while since we had you on. What are your thoughts on kind of the end of last season, the draft, unrivaled, kind of everything that's kind of happened here in the last couple of months?
I thought Unrivaled was great. I thought it was a good way. It felt more like loose, competitive, like open runs. Because obviously 3-on-3 you have more space to work. And it's a little bit more fast paced. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I think stuff like that is honestly really cool. It's like watching when they put like the Drew League and the NBA games on. You get to watch them work on stuff they weren't be able to work on during the regular season. So I'm excited for what they're going to bring in next year. I did think the Angel Reese foul baiting stuff was kind of funny, but that's just me. I always love that. I always love that stuff. Very Draymond-esque. Other than that, I mean, the draft, it kind of went how I expected. I think a lot of the moves in the offseason were interesting. I'm interested to see how Atlanta's going to do with Brittany Griner and how Phoenix will do without her this year. So, and there's a lot of movement this year, so it should be an interesting season.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see kind of how all of these moves have kind of changed. And then we went ahead and threw in a 13th team this season as well. The Golden State Valkyries have made their debut. They played one preseason game. I did manage to stay up and watch that the other night. Always good to have expansion. Then there are two more teams coming along the way. So we're going to have plenty of new roster spots, new faces, and hopefully some competitive basketball along the way. But very excited this year to have a new kind of franchise join the W. And on top of that, there are more games, and the finals this year are going best of 7 after that classic that we got, best of 5 between New York and Minnesota last year.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. If we get another series like that, it's definitely going to help raise viewership and get more people into it. I think that was also one of the things a lot of people, it kind of stopped a lot of people. It's kind of like when the NBA kind of had their 3-4 year lull with when the Warriors were just beating everyone 4-0, 4-1 every year. When the Aces were just dominating that 2-year stretch, it definitely didn't help viewership. Now that it's, there's 5-6 teams that could be competing this year, I think it's going to make it more entertaining.
Yeah. There's a lot of competitive. The competition level, the parity has kind of evened out a little bit. Like I said, half the league is in play for a title, and I'd say there's really only kind of a couple of teams that are really kind of fighting for that number 1 overall draft pick. Obviously, Golden State, and then Washington looks like they've kind of hit the reset button brought in a bunch of draft picks this year, new coaching staff, and all of that. So. I watched them the other day, and they were struggling pretty good. So I think they're going to have a rough season. But I think on the backside of that, when all the rookies kind of get a year or two underneath their belt, I think they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about is if we can talk to somebody about turning off all of these damn injuries. It has just been horrible. This week I'm going to put out we're going to do 3 Elite Eights. We're going to do top 8 kind of best players, top 8 folks that I like that are kind of not household names, and then top 8 players to watch for this season. And as I was putting together the top 8 folks that aren't household names, as I got down to kind of the last like 3 or 4, everybody I wanted to put on the list kept like tearing their ACL And I'm just getting pissed off. And I'm just like, come on. Because we've got Georgia Amore out with a torn ACL. We've got Katie Lou Samuelson out with a torn ACL. Megan Gustafson has, I think it might be an Achilles because she's in a boot and on the little scooter thing last I saw her. There was somebody else that had torn their ACL here recently as well. And I'm just like, knock this shit off. We want to watch these people play, and it's hard to watch just because they're all ready for a great season, and then they get that and they're out for a year. Nika Mule, who's still out from when she tore it in the off season, and then Cam Brinks is going to have a late start because of her ACL from last year. So like tons of players that are just out with that particular injury. It's really, really heartbreaking, and not to mention Juju tearing hers in March Madness.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully that's it for the rest of the year. Nobody else will be, no more ACL tears, no more major injuries, and we can coast through the rest of the season with those. One of the biggest changes, and you kind of alluded to it, one of the teams with the biggest changes this offseason has been the Phoenix Mercury. DT retired. Brittany Griner moved down to Atlanta. They've just rebuilt the whole thing. What's kind of your take on what you're seeing out there in the desert?
I actually like it as much as I think the way this roster is built, having BG would have made them a straight up contender and top 3, in my opinion. You always see teams where their star player, their long-term player shockingly leaves and they don't know what to do. And they just kind of stay put and figure out. They went out and were aggressive and brought in players. I thought Sabali was a great move. Alyssa Thomas is going to have a lot to prove this year coming off injury. And Tibbetts even said himself, like, she's going to play point guard. She's going to play center. She's not going to have a position. She's just going to play on the floor where we need her. I think they're going to be good this year. Right now, they have the 5th best odds to win the title. I could see them going at least 25-15. If I think it's going to take a couple games to get going, but I think if everyone stays healthy, they're a 25-win team.
I could see that. Yeah. I thought they were probably a 25 team win last year, and then they just kind of seemed to underachieve. So I don't know if I'm sold on Tibbetts as a coach yet, just because of last season. That was like, you've got like 3 Olympians on your team, and you're still just like right around 500. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So we'll see how the shakeup comes out. But if they are around 500 again,
I think that's just the theme in Phoenix. I mean, look at the Suns.
Yeah,
you had 3 Olympians on your team. You couldn't win, make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, the playoffs this year have been on the men's side have been wild. So
as long as my Thunder win it, I don't care. As I'm wearing my Knicks hat.
Well, hey, the new pope is a Nova guy, so you gotta get in there.
We have God on our side. It was God that's going to give Thibodeau another job, and I'm so mad about it. He saved his job unless they lose 4 straight. He saved his job.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it.
All right. So one of the things we want to look at is kind of the MVP candidates for this year. I still think that Asia is still kind of head and shoulders above everybody else. Though we did see Fee look really, really good in Unrivaled, and obviously looked really good last year. So I think those are kind of your 2 kind of main favorites there. And then I think this year we might see Caitlin come into that discussion a little bit more seriously than what she was last year.
She's actually the favorite.
Is she the favorite? Yeah, I think she was the betting favorite. But I think those 3 are kind of the big 3 of the group of the MVP candidates, unless somebody comes out and just goes wild this year.
Yeah, that's fair. I would actually, honestly, if you want a long shot to root for, that's not one of the of Caitlyn, Asia, and Nafisa. I don't hate Brianna or Sabrina at plus 1,400 and plus 2,000. Because Sabrina was on an MVP level season last year till she got hurt.
Right.
And I mean, Brianna is just casually putting up 28 and 3 with 2 steals and a block and a half a game last year. Statistically, it was a below average season for her, and she still put up an MVP level number. So I think unless Caitlyn goes off for 40 a game or Asia averages a triple double, I think you have to keep Brianna in that conversation.
Mm-hmm. If her 3-point percentage goes back up, she's right back in that. She's right back in that.
I think if she can hit her career number at 35%. But I also think the way they're playing, I think with Sabrina on the 3-point line, you don't need her as much as a 3-point shooter. You need her for that versatility, and then when Jonquel's not playing, you need her down low.
Right. Well, on top of that, they've got Tosh to run the point now, Tosh Cloud, who will take the point guard duties off of Sabrina's shoulders so she can go back to being the 2 guard and shooting the threes where she really excels. And then Maureen Johannes, they've got back, and she was scorching the nets last night. I think she put down at least 4 triples that I saw, but she might have had more in the game last night. So just by making that one kind of move and getting Johannes back, that really kind of opens up that outside shooting, and then you can just have Stewie kind of fitting in those pieces where she needs to fit in.
Right. Yeah. The other one I was looking at that might be sort of a long shot, but I mean, you know, like I always say, like when you look at MVPs, you have to look at value more than anything. I like the people who might sneak in that in like a couple weeks, you're going to be like, how is this person this low? Arike Agabawale putting up 23 and 3 and now having Paige to kind of take a little bit of that ball handling pressure off of. Mm-hmm. I could see her. I think it's a good possibility she could finish top 5 MVP this year. If she stays healthy, because I mean, if you're this team, if she can help bring this team to a playoff contention level and not just we're tanking to get another top pick level, I don't hate her coming out of this, at least with some MVP votes.
Yeah, no, Dallas has got themselves a nice little roster there. I think they're definitely I can see that. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the semifinals. I don't know if they've got enough to go all the way this year, but starting unit of Paige, Arike, Dejanay, and Liz, that's a pretty good first 4, and then mix and match with whatever you got off the bench, including a bunch of rookies. I don't know, man. That's a
scary team. Yeah,
it's a pretty good unit.
That's that team that they catch a low seed and they're just really scrappy. Yeah. And they just kind of sneak in to at least the Indiana Pacers, if you will.
Yeah. And then Arike is capable of going off for 40 and carrying you a couple of games.
And you can't double her because then you got Paige.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they're a scary team if they get it together. They're going to be somebody who's really interesting to watch this year. I like the moves that Indiana made, bringing in kind of those veteran voices. That was kind of the piece that I thought last year at the tail end of the season that they were really missing. I wanted them at the trade deadline to go out and go get somebody like they did this year with a DeWanna Bonner and a Sid Colson, a couple of folks who have been there before. Add that to the pretty good talent that they already had. Now I could see them really being in that Final Four. And maybe depending upon how the chips fall, they might be in that finals conversation.
Yeah. Well, and you can't forget, I mean, did you see Sophie Cunningham just being a dog, like ready to fight everyone the other night? That's the kind of stuff you need on your team. Is you need the person who's willing to go to war every single time out.
I made the point that she was the W's Dylan Brooks. And I got a little bit of heat for that, but I thought that was a pretty good comparison.
I don't hate it. I mean, yeah, They look good. I like you said, the big thing was last year they were like the second youngest team in the league. And you add 4 players over the age of 30 to kind of fill out your roster. I think that's what you needed was, okay, now you know who you're going to be playing on a regular basis. Now add the vets who have been there, who have played those playoff minutes, who know what you got to do in game 30 when you're exhausted and you can't go any farther.
Yeah. And I don't think that's unfair to say that they got a coaching upgrade in Stephanie White.
Yeah.
That'll be a big piece. And then the other thing too is the schedule. And they mentioned this on the ESPN during the when the Fever were playing here in Iowa City. That last year they played their first 11 games in 20 days, which is insane. And this year their first 11 games is spread out over like 35 days. So just making the schedule more breathe a little bit more. Obviously, we don't have an Olympic year, but just the fact that they can, they're not playing so many back-to-backs and 3 and 4s and those kinds of things, just to let them kind of play a normal schedule will allow them to adjust too.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a lot of coaching changes this year. We've talked about a couple of them already. There's 8 brand new coaches in this year, and it's actually easier to name the coaches that stayed. So Minnesota, Phoenix, Seattle, and I knew all this just a couple of minutes ago. Who was the 4th one? Seattle, Minnesota, Phoenix, and New York. Duh. Sandy Brondella. Those are the only 4 coaches that have stayed. Everybody else made a coaching change this year. So I'm interested to see kind of how these things shake out and who made a good hire and maybe who didn't. What did you think of, I don't even remember the lady's name who took over the Sparks. She's coming up from college, I believe from Utah State. What was kind of your thoughts on her? And then there's a couple of gentlemen who've come in that are like national team coaches. I think the Washington coaches Belgium, I think they said, and Connecticut coaches France. So we've got a couple of international coaches in there too to kind of change up styles and different things. So we may see a little bit different styles of play this year.
The only one I know really much about is the Sparks coach. Because the international coaches I haven't paid too much attention to. I do think Connecticut is a good thing to bring in the French coach, especially with a lot of French players coming over in the next couple of years. What better way to market yourself to go live in Stamford, Connecticut, than say, well, at least your coach is from the same country as you. Yeah. I really like Lynn Roberts. She flipped Utah around. They were 9-21 the year before she took over. They were 18-15, and they made the tournament a couple years. Under her, she won Coach of the Year. She coaches fast. She's a player's coach. I've never seen anything I tried looking up news to always see a criticism. I'd never seen anything about players or former players criticizing the way she coaches. I think especially with the pieces they've brought in and the way they're going to look to play, especially bringing in like Kelsey Plum, I think the up-tempo style is perfect for LA. So I'm really excited to see what she's going to do.
Yeah, I am too. I'm curious to see, who may come out of this as like Coach of the Year. Now, obviously, Minnesota's coach won that last year. Who do you think has got a team that's kind of that can make that kind of leap from kind of that second tier to that first tier? Maybe Steph White for Indiana just because of roster construction?
I would say, yeah. That's probably the best because I think they're matched up with Vegas, New York, and Minnesota in terms of win totals. They're projecting a 30-win season for the Fever. So, you got high expectations. I Which, I mean, if you have Caitlin Clark on your team, you're going to have high expectations no matter what. So if you can at least maintain where those expectations are at, I mean, I think if they make semifinals, I think you could easily put her in for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I like that. Or maybe even the Dallas coach, if they catch fire towards the end of the season, there might be a case to be made for him as well. Yeah, no, I think he was the guy I was like looking at him. I'm like, that guy looks like a Starbucks barista because he has the long hair and the beard, and I'm like,
the real question is, are they going to be doing those mid-game interviews again this year?
Yes,
I hated that. Probably. I hated that. That was so stupid. Like you could tell the coaches didn't want to do it. Like the coaches are trying to coach the game, and
I think ESPN is because that was the Brazilian team. The coach just goes bye-bye when he was like done because he was like just done talking to them.
Yeah, no one. They don't do it in the NBA. They don't. They do it in baseball because the game, like they're not having to coach during the game half the time.
They do it in the NBA, but they do it between quarters.
Like that's what I'm saying. That's different. Do it between quarters because then you can tell the assistants like, okay, this is what you need to talk to them about, and that's it. Like mid game, they have to make adjustments. They're trying to watch the game, and you're sitting there having them talk about like, oh, what does this person meant to your team? They're not going to say anything negative. Like they're going to give you the same like. It's all media trained answers. Like it's stupid.
Yeah, it's all canned answers.
It only needs to be if it's Popovich. That's the only coach that needs to be mid-game interviewed ever. Yeah, any sport.
Exactly.
And Popovich and Belichick.
And Pop now he's just going to be an executive, so he's got all day to talk.
I wonder if they'll put a team in San Antonio and they like, listen, we'll pay you $1 billion. Just come coach us.
I would love that. I would love that.
That would be so great.
Yes. All right. We talked a little bit about Paige, but we haven't talked a lot about the other rookies. Is this year's Rookie of the Year kind of a foregone conclusion? It's kind of like Paige versus the field at this point?
I mean, yeah, it's the same thing as Caitlin last year where, I mean, you have someone who for the last 4 years has been like the sole focus of media attention in women's college basketball. Like you're going to have them against the field. It's the same as when Zion versus the field in the NBA and Wemby versus the field. Like you have a player that ESPN can kind of constantly talk about. You're going to influence it. I will say though, I don't think the award's locked up. I truly don't. I really like. I'm definitely going to mispronounce her name, Malonga in Seattle, because it's there as much as Paige is a generational talent. You're always going to have good guards in the WNBA. It's very rare to find a dominant big. So I think if she starts the season off strong, I think because we have expectations of where Paige is going to be. I don't think a lot of people have expectations for her. So
other than dunking.
Other than dunking. Like I think she's easily she can put up the same rebounds numbers that we see Asia and Angel Reese and Nafisa put up. She can score the way Brianna can. So I wouldn't put it against, we get to the All-Star break and her and Paige are close to even numbers.
Yeah. The only thing that might hold her back is Noelle Quinn doesn't play a ton of rookies. So
yeah,
playing time might be.
The WNBA Thibodeau. Draft them and don't play them and then wonder why they suck.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Nika Mule didn't even score last year. She was buried so far on the Storm bench. So we'll see how that.
We had the number 2 pick, generational talent. Well, they need to sit the bench for 4 years and waste their career. That's the only way they're going to get better.
Exactly. All right. What else do we have on the docket today? Oh, a category that I think might be entertaining is most improved candidates. Just because we saw a lot of growth out of folks in Unrivaled, I actually think this race might be a little bit more kind of wide open this year. So I've got a couple of names that I like. I'm going to throw them out there. And then you can tell me I'm full of shit. So I think a couple of them that I really like are Ray Burrell and Maddie Sechrist. I think both of those, Ray really kind of took a major step in Unrivaled. Maddie looked really good in her debut. She missed part of last year with an injury, maybe missed the last portion of the season. I know she was out for a while. I can't remember how long. But I thought she looked really, really good coming in as that sixth player, kind of first woman off the bench in that Dallas rotation. So if that becomes kind of her role, I could really see her kind of step up and take that most improved spot. Aaliyah Edwards, again, based upon her Unrivaled, just what she did in the one-on-one tournament, took out Stewie, made it all the way to the finals. I think if she wasn't showcased last year, I think if they showcase her as the main focal point of the offense this year, I think she's got a chance to really kind of step forward. On the broadcast yesterday, somebody was really making the case for J.C. Sheldon, just because having basically it's her and Marina against the world out there in Connecticut at this point. So she's got plenty of chance to put up shots and score points, and I think that's somebody who's, I like the point that they made that she's got all the opportunity in the world to make that case. And then this is the one that I think you're gonna call me on is I actually think Angel Reese can make a case for most improved, just based upon like what we saw in Unrivaled of her work with Lisa Leslie. She's did much better down the low post. She's working on expanding out her range. We saw last year she couldn't make an 8-foot jumper. Doing better with those this year. If she just goes from 30% field goal shooting to 45, her points per game are going to skyrocket. I think that she may be too big of a name for a most improved, but I think we're going to see a lot of growth out of her this year. And that's why I kind of threw her on the list.
I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, yeah, she couldn't make an 8-foot jumper. Now she can't make a 9-foot jumper. As you're wearing your Sky gear right now, just wanted to point that out. The only thing I'll get into the Angel Reese point is if she stops trying to act like she's Caitlin Clark, then yes, she'll win it. And what I mean by that is it felt like last year, every time it was like Caitlin Clark takes 40 shots, drops 50 points. The next game, Angel Reese was flinging everything she touched. If she is the WNBA version of Draymond Green in a good way. And what I mean by that is she's going to tire out every big you have. She's going to grab every rebound. She's going to hit the floor. She's going to be scrappy. She's not going to give you a 20-20 every night. She might if she takes 40 shots and misses 15 layups again. But she's going to be that person that's going to tire your defense out for 40 minutes. And I don't hate that. So the big one on here, Caitlin Clark is third odds to win it. So she could possibly win MVP and most improved. In the the MLB version of Chris Bryant with that Rookie of the Year MVP back-to-back season. I like another Sky player. I like Camila Cardosa for most improved. I think now that they've kind of found a way to play both her and Angel, I think they're going to give her a more extended role.
I think Saluti's unlocked something with Camila because they seem to.
Because Angel's not the best in pick and roll.
Right.
Angel's I'm going to do a pick and roll with Cardosa, and then if the jumper's available, I'm going to take it because Angel Reese is on the other block. And then you have to fight through both of them now. Which is great because you could put 3 people back and slow them down. I really like Kate Martin for most improved on a team that's she's plus 1,000 right now, 5th best odds. She's on a team that has nothing, has only in a let's see what we can get kind of year. I think she's going to get more minutes. I didn't even see how much she played in the last game. Did you?
She played 17 to 20. I can't remember. She didn't start. She came off the bench in that kind of that six-man role, kind of like what she did with Vegas. But she got plenty. She struggled with her 3-pointer. She only was 1 of 5 or 2 of 5. She couldn't get him to go down. But she was Kate Martin every other way. She was driving people nuts on defense, sparking energy, cutting to the basket. So I could see that, but again, that's going to be all on Natalie Nakase and how many minutes she's going to give Kate on a team that, who knows what you've got outside of Tip Hayes.
So I have two more I like for most improved. So Julie Van Loo, because same thing, you're gonna have an older player who, if she's not a part of the future, she's got to prove herself in trade and free agency value. And now she's going to actually have the time and the minutes to play extended minutes and show her numbers. I also like Ryan Howard. I think Ryan Howard with Brittany Griner is going to be a really good combo. I think they're going to bring the best out of each other. I was looking at her numbers earlier. I just got to find where I was at because I have 5,000 tabs open because I forget to close everything.
And Jordan Canada, another person on the injury list.
Who?
Jordan Canada.
Woo! There we go. Yeah, I mean, 32 minutes a game, putting up 17, 4, and 3. If she can shoot the three, if she can shoot the way she did in the preseason, because she looked really good, I don't see any reason that she doesn't score 20 this year. And now that they have a big down low that can that they can trust to rebound. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I don't see any reason why she can't put up 20 this year. I think they're going to let her shoot a lot more too.
Yeah, I know when they were in Unrivaled, they wanted her to be more kind of that floor general. That was kind of the thing that they wanted her to work on. But old dogs and new tricks and that type of thing, she kind of just fell back into her old kind of shooting role. But I think that she's, if they give her kind of more, especially without Canada, they're a team that's interesting to watch. So we'll see kind of how the Dream come out this season. They may be a little bit more, I don't know. They're going to be kind of a borderline team, I think.
They're going to be fun to watch, though. They're going to be really gritty. I feel like they're going to be a really gritty physical team.
Yes. All right. Before the neighbors start mowing, because I can see them getting out of the mowing guys getting out of the truck now.
Do they not know watching the W is on right now? Come on.
I guess not. I guess they're not.
This is amateur hour out here. This is why I don't move to Western Illinois.
Yeah, I've got the windows up.
You just have to hear the Dominican neighbors arguing with the police coming up and down. That's it.
Yeah.
New York culture.
All right. Okay. Hot take. Who is your finals matchup for this year? Who do you think we'll see?
All right. So my finals matchup this year, I think we're gonna see an Aces Liberty again. It's chalk, I know. I think after last year, they've kind of retooled. I don't think the Lynx are going to be able to do that 2 consecutive years, but I don't see any reason the Liberty do not make the finals again. I think the Fever, unless the bracket goes a completely wrong direction of what I'm thinking, I think the Caitlin Clark is going to have to get past Vegas or New York. And I just have a hunch it's going to be like that championship game when South Carolina just triple teamed her and said, okay, everyone else has to beat us. Because I don't think that team combined without Caitlin Clark putting up 20 could beat either of them in a best of 5. I hear the mower.
Yeah, I told you, man. They just went right by the window. I'm thinking Liberty, and I'm actually thinking the Fever. I'm thinking that maybe something happens, they catch a break, because God only knows that the refereeing in the WNBA can change things, and that changes on a whim, it seems like. So, they get some kind of break, escape with a buzzer beater or something. I don't know. But just kind of the feeling of they've put enough pieces together that maybe they can take that step. Maybe they get swept, but I think that the Liberties, from what I saw yesterday of how well they played, and then without Stewie, I think they're good enough to get back. And then it's kind of a 3-horse race of Minnesota, Indy, and maybe Phoenix to get for the other side. So we're going to kind of see
ESPN wants a Fever Liberty finals, because you imagine they get to talk about Caitlin Clark and Ian Eskew for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, they'd be crazy, and then
and they're going to add in how LeBron. They're going to add how LeBron.
If they get a Fever Dallas first round matchup, they'd be wetting their pants, and then
I would be wetting my pants. Are you kidding me? That's going to be fun.
Yeah, and then if it goes like for Indiana, if it went like Dallas, Minnesota, and then New York, ESPN would just be like all beside themselves.
It's going to be Dallas versus Indy in the first round. They're going to give Dawn Staley courtside seats for every game. They're just going to randomly pan to her each time. Every time Caitlin or Paige does something, they'll just pan to Dawn Staley and Gino on the sidelines. No.
And then Lisa Bluter on as the halftime show, on the halftime.
What's really going to happen, and this is what they want. I have the script. I've spoken with the WNBA executives. Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky are going to go on an unprecedented 30-0 run to end the season. It's going to be the Fever versus the Sky in the finals. It's going to go down to the last shot of the game. Angel Reese guarded by Caitlin Clark, or Caitlin Clark guarded by Angel Reese to decide the winner. You heard it here first.
They'd be very excited for that.
Sky at plus 7,000 to win the championship. Lock it in.
All right. So, like I said, since the Boeing guys have decided to camp out here outside my window, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We do have, where did that go? I was showing it earlier. Again, new system. We do have a new Discord server. We do want you to make sure that folks are seeing that. There we go. Add that. Show. There it is. Right here above me. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you can scan that Discord. Otherwise, it is just FSQC in the Discord. You can come join. We have a dedicated WNBA channel. We've got a dedicated betting channel for Danny as well. Just come in there, hang out with us. We'll be in and out of there all the time, but leave us a message. Come join us over there. Obviously, you can always follow us on all the socials. We're on Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of fun stuff. I'm mostly on Threads and Blue Sky nowadays, but you can find us.
And I have to deal with Elon because gambling Twitter has not moved to Blue Sky yet.
All righty. Okay. But enjoy the season. We are excited to see what this brings. Best of luck to everybody. Again, let's hope that they manage to turn the injuries off so we can really enjoy this season. Any final words from you, Danny, before we take off?
What was it? I had one. FanDuel right now, you could get Anissa Morrow to record more of the rebounds than Angel Reese did in her rookie debut at plus 200.
Nice. All right. So for Danny, I can't hear what you say, so I'm just agreeing with you. All right. So for Danny, I'm Doug. Thank you, everybody who's watched, and enjoy the season, and we will see you here in a couple.